What is up, my friends? We are back with another episode of the Anfield Agenda podcast. As always, I'm joined by Mr. Chris Stonage and Mr. Conor Crosby. Trigger warning, folks, this one ain't going to be happy. This isn't going to be an upbeat episode because I'm sure you're aware Liverpool were well and truly trounced 3-0 by Nottingham Forest. Back-to-back 3-0 defeats for the first time in, I think it's over 50 years or something crazy like that. Gents, we do have a lot to go through, but I'm not going to hang around. I'm not going to mess about. Chris, straight to the question. Should Arne Slot be fired? Yes or no, and why?
No, because there's no suitable replacement.
Oh, you see, we were talking about this before you came on, Chris. We've got that answer ready for you.
Go on,
So
please,
the
tell
answer
me.
is it's not our problem to find a fucking replacement. That's the answer. The problem should be, is he good enough or not? Yes or no. And from there, because look, hear me out, and I'll come back to you. If you say we can't bring in anyone else, and that's the reason, you're just going to keep seeing us regress and maybe pick up a couple of points. I would say rip the Band-Aid off, get in somebody for the here and now, not somebody long term, and at least try to get some confidence back into the team. So sorry for cutting you off, bro,
No,
but
that's fine.
that's what we've been hearing all day yesterday. No, because there's nobody else. Is that really, like, my analogy I used on the show yesterday was that's like going out with a girl that you don't really like just so you can get sex because you don't have to do it yourself.
Well, I mean, I would say he does. The credit in the bank he does have is dwindling incredibly quickly. Like it's unbelievable. You know, I hate calling for managers' heads. I feel like Arsenal fan TV circa 2016. I don't want to be like that, but it's that yesterday was as close to a turning point as I think I'll ever be. Like
Were you
I
at the
think
game yesterday?
I was at the game, and
Okay.
genuinely,
Talk us through the atmosphere inside.
it was rubbish. Like because and I'll be honest, because there was nothing to feed off. Like and this year has actually been really good atmosphere. Even in some of the games we've lost, like the United game was good. Like, but there was just nothing. As soon as that second goal went in, like I have never felt this in my time supporting Liverpool. I mean this. 15 years going to the games, you know, I have never felt so like sure we were losing the game. As soon as they scored that second goal, I was like, oh, all right then, let's just go and do it. Honestly, they shut us out. I don't think we challenged Sells at all. I know we beat them on XG, but like we didn't challenge the goalkeeper
All right,
whatsoever.
Arne, calm
We
down.
bet them on XG though. Come on.
Yes, come on.
I don't want to be like AFTV, but come on.
But honestly, like there was, it felt so like limp. Like I think that's probably the best word to describe that performance. There was no real metal. I don't like questioning the effort, but it wasn't there. It was really a tough watch, mate.
I'll come back to one moment, Chris, that I'd love to get your take on in a second as you were inside the stadium. But, Connor, for yourself, I know the answer to this because we've talked offline, but, you know, I like to think that you're a more reasonable and patient human being than I am. In fact, I know that you're a more reasonable and patient human being than I am. So if we've got Mr. Bland in the WhatsApp saying to us, I don't know, lads, is it time? I think that tells us everything. So where are you at with the manager?
Yeah, it's a good indication when like everyone has gone that way. It's not just like people overreacting. I think everyone, even the most positive fan at this point, is starting to question, if not, is already Arne Slot out. And for me, like I don't want him out, but I don't see any other solution at this point. Like just the way we're playing, the results, the complete lack of identity, the complete lack of how to get Alexander Isak playing anyway good. Florian Wirtz even is still an issue in terms of like we still don't know exactly where to play him, and it's so all over the place. I don't see how Arne Slot turns this around. Like I think even if he wins the next 5 games in a row, do we still believe that he can really get his team challenging for multiple trophies every year? And the answer at this point is no. So I don't really know what the alternative is. And like we said at the start, fair enough, maybe there is no completely obvious answer right now to who would be the replacement. But if we believe that Arne Slot is not the man to lead this team forward, then we have to just make that decision, get whoever in, get fucking Johnny Heitinga in as the interim manager, whoever, anyone, just to steady the ship and then find a replacement. Like, fair enough, maybe if you want Areola, let's say, maybe he doesn't want to leave yet. Maybe we get him in the summer. Maybe we somehow convince Klopp to come back, which will never happen. But like, it's not our issue. Like, it's the club's issue. And if we believe he really isn't the man, to lead this team forward, then we have to just make that decision now. And I think I am at that point, in all honesty.
I got to caveat this by saying all three of us want Arne to succeed. All three of us want the team to be doing well. And as Chris said, it's with a heavy heart. Certainly for me that I say I'd like the manager gone. I've not said that in my whole time making content. And granted, a lot of that was under Jurgen. But even at the 6 home defeats in a row, nobody was saying we should let the manager go. Chris, I promise you I was going to come back to one moment. And it's something that I read in the Echo, because when I watch the games, mate, I watch them with the audio off so I don't pick up anything copyright-wise. So I was reading a piece in the Echo and they spoke about the missed challenges or pulled out of challenges from Gravenberch and Gakpo. Gakpo, I think, in particular. And they went on to say that that felt like a turning point in the crowd, in the atmosphere inside the stadium. Would you back that up?
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, what I will say is in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes, I don't think we were that bad. Like, we had several chances where the shots were blocked, but as soon, the moment I go back to, as I said earlier, was that second goal, because I've never felt like it was so deflating as soon as that second goal went in, because it was like, all right, we'll come out, we'll really go at them in this second half. And then, 30, 40 seconds later, we're like, oh shit, it's 2-0. Like, and they completely carved us apart. Yeah, I just feel like for someone who actually substituted a player for not winning any duels, I know it's not possible to substitute 10 players, but it feels like that was our real identity last season, was the fact that we were really aggressive 1v1. And this year, it just seems like we're pretty pathetic, to be honest with you, in a 1v1. Like, it feels like we are so easily got at. It's painful to watch, mate, to be honest with you. And I think I saw like we've got the lowest points total we've had in the last sort of 6-7 seasons after this amount of time. We're really lucky that actually we're only 2 points off fourth place, because in other seasons we'd be far further behind.
I mean, we can run through some of the numbers, Connor. We've conceded 17, I think, over the last few games. We're -2 goal difference. We're 11th in the Premier League. As Chris said, there is a saving grace somewhat in that it's quite condensed in there. But even seeing us, mate, defending champions, we're not 1 or 2 games into the season now. We're in the bottom half. We're the bottom half, and we've a -2 goal difference. That is scandalous, mate.
Again, like you said, yeah, like we're reigning champions. That we're there, like we're only 2 points off the top 4, sitting in 11th or 12th or whatever we are, -2 goal difference. Like, that's just an outrageous position to be in, given that we are the reigning champions. Like, we were, I don't even know what the words are. Like, we're just absolutely terrible. And like people would say, like, we're shite. Yes, exactly. But like, even like people are there, like, oh, like remember the Hudson days or whatever. So it's like, yeah, but we were actually shit back then. We should be good now. So like, it's completely different. You know what I mean?
I was having this debate with my dad in the car, and he said, oh, I've seen us way worse than this. And I was like, well, actually, I don't think you have, because the expectation to reality, I don't think the gap's ever been bigger, because you're talking about a team that should be, that has been Premier League champions and then has been built on. Like, that's not being funny. We have brought in a striker who is arguably one of the best in the position in the world last season, a midfielder who we can't seem to get fit, but he can't seem to get working, but he is, unbelievable potential, so much potential. We've got, I do 100% understand, and we have to caveat everything with the Jota stuff, but it just feels like, there's something wrong more than that, wider than that, because it's there's never been a bigger gap between expectation and reality ever in Liverpool.
One thing that astounded me yesterday, gents, and Connor, I'll come to you on this first, was no Hugo Ekitike in the starting 11. Like, I don't mind Isak playing. You got to get him fit, as Arne said, but how do you go and drop the one guy in the front line who actually looks like he's hit the ground running this season? And Chris, you've been in the stadium many times. When Ekitike gets on the ball, or even when he comes on, the whole place lifts. You can feel. I was there for the United game. The whole place just raised up as soon as Ekitike got the ball, and everybody felt like something was possible. And here's a stat, Connor, that you sent to me from, I think it's X, a gentleman called Who's Greg, who said Liverpool have won 75% of the Premier League games where Hugo Ekitike has started versus 0% when he hasn't. I mean, when you sent me the teammate, as you always kindly do before we start the watch-alongs, I thought it was a piss take. I thought you were winding me up, like you'd got the subs on and said or something. Like, I couldn't believe Ekitike wasn't there.
It is baffling, yeah. Like, I do fully understand the whole thing of, like, you have to start Isak because he's such a big money signing and you have to get him minutes ultimately. And on paper, to be fair, 19th at home should be the game you start to introduce Isak, because we should just be beating him anyway. But the second that game started to go to shit, Ekitike should have been coming on, because like he is the driving force of that attack, and stats do speak for themselves there. Like we win a lot of games where he plays, and we just haven't won any games where he hasn't. So like I do understand that Isak needs minutes, but yeah, like Ekitike needs to be on that pitch a lot sooner than he was, because Isak was getting nothing to him and he was offering nothing outside of that as well. So yeah, in hindsight, definitely Ekitike should have started, but I would argue that even without Ekitike, we should still have been winning that game yesterday, regardless.
I would have assumed, Chris, that you'd see 2025 from Isak yesterday, and then you give him PSV Eindhoven. You know, a kind of a handier touch, a softer touch, probably midweek. Same with Robertson and Kirkes. I thought yesterday would have been stick with Andy Robertson, then go Milos Kirkes for a game that you're going to be on the front foot in against PSV Eindhoven. But you know, the manager at least tried to change something yesterday, but I think it's fair to say it didn't look good. And you did say, Chris, we were decent at the start. I fully back that up. I would even give us the first half an hour to say that we look quite sharp. I think Mo looked decent in that half an hour as well on the right. Maka had a shot blocked by Elliot Anderson on the line. And one thing, Chris, that really stood out to me yesterday was the difference of the two defenses and even their defensive midfielder. Elliot Anderson, Murillo, they were just throwing themselves at everything, really celebrating the art of defending and blocking versus our very passive defending.
100%. I was literally going to say, like, I know I don't want to sound like, you know, like Dean Saunders or like a proper like talk sport merchant, but like, you got to fucking love defending. Like, it winds me up because like, I understand a lot of the time, sometimes being slightly more passive and allowing the shots off or whatever sometimes, but in a moment like this, you need to reset to default setting. You know, we're in a real tough space. Go and win the ball, go and win your duels. We look like we sort of couldn't be asked. Like, and I hate accusing players of that.
And
so, yeah.
That right there, Chris, is the reason I want the manager gone. That exact reason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of that is on the manager, like genuinely, but it seems like that we would, if it almost like we would be if we would be better off without him, then are we going to, you know, make that change? Honestly, I'm stumped with it.
I don't think they sack him. I don't. I think that they stick for a while longer, which I think ultimately, for me, history usually teaches us that when the fans start to lose belief in a manager, it's only a matter of time. You can tread water for a little bit longer. You can pull a few results out, but when the next little glitch happens, the intensity only ratchets up again. I wanted to read out something from Steve Nicol, Connor, because normally I think this dad's just negative for the sake of being negative, but he raised an interesting point that you'd sent on to me around Ryan Gravenberch escaping any type of criticism so far. He goes on to say that he should be the guy who's, you know, blocking the back four, mopping up the stuff that comes in behind. But I found it interesting because I remember him being interviewed after the Newcastle game, I think, where he spoke about the fact that he's been given license to get more forward. And that kind of stopped me in my tracks at the time, mate, because I'm thinking, how's your number 6 given license to get forward? If he's given license to get forward, what are we doing and who's protecting the defence? So he kind of probably has a point, Steve Nicol, and I'm going to go wash my mouth out after that because I hate saying it, but I do think he has a point.
It's one of them ones, isn't it? Like, yes, Gravenberch should be doing that, but then, like, if he's given instructions to kind of not be doing that, can you really criticise the player individually?
No, that's the point.
Thing,
sorry, that I forgot to make. It's on the manager if it's the instruction. Sorry.
Yeah, like I find it hard at times to criticise players for like really intricate details like that. Like, say, like even with Cody Gakpo, like we don't know that he hasn't been told you are not to go wide, you are to cut in every single time because that will open up space for X, Y, or Z. So like, it's hard to know when to criticise, like what is a player's decision and what is the manager's decision. And the fact that Ryan did come out and say that he was given license to go forward would probably suggest it's a systematic thing and it's an instruction from the manager himself. So I find it hard to criticise him as such, but I do understand the point that Steve Nicol is trying to make in terms of maybe it is something we have glossed over. Like, the stuff Gravenberch is doing is very good a lot of the time, but maybe it is the things we're not seeing is what we should be focusing on, which is, like you said, the dirty work, like the tackles, the breaking up play, and just even just the defence as well. Like, everyone, like, we just seem to have forgotten to actually do the very basics of football, like keep the fucking ball out of our goal and put the ball in their goal. Like, it's not that hard, but like we seem to be doing everything other than that at the minute. Like, it's just go back to basics, like Chris said as well. Let's go back to the solid defense that we know we can be, and just go back to basics.
I thought for the first 5 or 6 games, Gravenberch was our best player, but at the same time, he was the one who, when he lost the ball, we were the most, under pressure, because obviously he is the last line of defense before the defense. I feel like now his performances have dropped off, and we'll be real. Like, he's been amazing the last season and a half, absolutely, but now his performances have dropped off. Actually, that protection, that the fact he was getting his leg in or getting past 2 or 3 players, now that's gone. We're actually a lot easier to get at. That makes you think, well, why don't you go to a more traditional defensive midfielder now? I've never really called for him, but Endo, lads, like, honestly, is he going to be our saviour? Or
I have a
systematic
thought
change?
process, Chris, that I'm going to try and word as carefully as I can, and I mentioned this to Conor beforehand. I think the Dutch influence on the team is making us too soft. They're great technical players. Arne has a great technical mind, but I don't like the laid-back, languid, relaxed, non-aggressive attitude. And when you've got the 2 players we spoke about who missed those tackles that was written about in the Echo, Gakpo, Gravenberch, both Dutch. Manager and the captain, both Dutch. I think the best way I can describe it is somebody in the chat said to me yesterday that Klopp to Virgil was like the yin and the yang. You've got one really aggressive, in-your-face guy with Jurgen on the sidelines who would be bouncing out, and then you've got the cool, calm Virgil who could go and talk to the players, get the manager's words across. But if you're called to the headmaster, you're in trouble. I don't get the feeling, Chris, that Arne Slot has that same fear factor in the players, especially the more senior ones like Mo and Virgil. And I can only put it down to that relaxed Dutch attitude.
I mean, I wouldn't. Personally, I don't know too much about sort of nationalities and how it all works, but I think you're spot on with the sort of attitude. When you had Jurgen, who actually, he was sort of yin and yang in himself a lot of the time, because he was often very calm and the normal guy, but then if something went wrong, he would be going mental. We saw a bit of that from Arne last season. There was quite a few moments, especially sort of in the middle of last season, where we saw a lot of emotion. But yeah, when you're under pressure, and I thought this from when Virgil made the comments about like blocking out the haters and the noise and stuff. Sometimes maybe the haters have a point. And you can't live in a self-contained world of thinking you're brilliant, because you are brilliant, but you're not perfect, and there's always room to improve. That's where I think maybe the players should be taking something from the outside world in terms of the attitude. Yeah, I do agree with you in that regard.
I think we're too soft. And even if you just look at the Dutch history in international football recently, that they've always had great players. They've always had technicians, but they've always just been lacking that killer edge or mentality to get finally over the line. And I mean, it's the only thing I can really think of, because I've racked my brain trying to figure out lots of other which ways that that's causing this downturn. But ultimately, I think I just don't see the fear factor in the players, Conor. And, would those players have put in that performance yesterday under Jurgen Klopp, particularly going out to the second half? I just can't see it. I can't see it. And something has to change, because whatever we think about the Dutch angle I went with, we're just too soft.
Yeah, regardless, like, even you see Oxlade-Chamberlain doing interviews about Klopp, like, every time you go on the pitch, you're ready to just basically die for 3 points. Like, you're going to give absolutely everything and just battle it out. And, like, I don't know if it's a Dutch thing necessarily or not, but definitely Arne Slot has that demeanor of being very cool and calm, which, to be fair, I'm not going to be a hypocrite about. I said I had no issue with that a few weeks ago, but the more time goes on, the more you can start to see that maybe that is a contributing factor. Like, when the chips are down, you do need someone to have a rousing speech. You do need someone to, like you said as well, put the fear factor into you just to perform. Like, we've seen that, was it McAllister speaking about Klopp, basically saying, like, my old midfield would have done this, but you didn't. And, like, I can't see Slot going in and saying those type of things. So, like, there probably is something in it, but I think at this point it's just, like, the manager has just, I don't know if he's lost the dressing room, but he's definitely going that way, and he just seems to be clueless. So it's just it's a mixture of a lot of things, but I'm sure it probably is a contributing factor as well.
One thing, Chris, before we move on to Canada, that has annoyed me about Slot when we come to play big games is he's almost fanboying the opposition and opposition managers at times, particularly with Guardiola and Luis Enrique. I found it very disconcerting that before we played PSG in the second leg last year, Arne was spending time almost telling the media how he dreams about becoming that PSG team, and how he enjoys watching Pep Guardiola's sides before we played Man City. I don't like that. Be as complimentary as you want after the game, but before it, nah, I'm not having that, Chris.
I don't know. I think if you win the game, it's okay, but if you lose it, it's not. It's one of those things. Like,
it all leads into the softy approach that I'm talking about, though.
I suppose, yeah. I suppose I don't think that I personally don't think that'll make a huge difference. But again, it could be something that you were mentioning, the whole the level of, as I said, winning duels. Every little bit counts, and even those little things may make a difference. I don't know. I personally wouldn't say that. I think Klopp's been very, very complimentary to teams before and after matches. Same with Guardiola. Same with Mourinho, even. Like,
so you're very key there with one of the sentences you said, after matches.
Yeah, well, I think before too. Like, I genuinely think before. I don't know. I don't think it'll be that huge, but it could be a tiny thing. Yeah.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up was Ibrahima Konate, gents, and two things actually. One, what the fuck, and secondly, did it annoy you that he went off the pitch with a little smirk on his face, a little grin? I don't know if you spotted this, Chris. Obviously, you may have not seen it on the TV, but we don't know what was going through his head, Connor. But he definitely either laughed at how quickly he was being substituted in the second half or something, but there was some demeanor about the acceptance of the substitution that felt very strange.
It was a strange one, yeah. And to be fair, like, he shouldn't be laughing at the decision, because if the decision had been made properly, he would have been off in the first half, or at least at half time. Like, the fact he stayed on the pitch that long was shocking. So maybe he was just laughing at the fact that you've managed to get that many minutes. But it did annoy me at the time. It's not something I'm kind of dwelling on since. But yeah, like, it is just, like, is it an indication that maybe, like, it could be a bit of a stretch, but like the fact he's smiling going off, like, is that him just like questioning the manager? Is it the players just like being baffled by some of the decisions that the manager is making? Like, it all could add into that narrative. But yeah, it did annoy me, but it's just one of them things, isn't it? Like, I'm sure no player's going to be happy being hooked early in the game as well. But yeah, like, he doesn't have the performances behind him this season to have the arrogance to laugh about the fact he's being taken off, because he just hasn't been at a one bit this season, and he was rightly taken off, and probably 10 or 15 minutes too late, really.
All those little things, though, gents, that we're speaking about, little things all start to add up into a bigger picture for me, and it's concerning. Chris, what was it like when Ibrahima Konate put that ball out for the corner for the first goal? Because it almost felt like it was harder to do that than put it out to the left for a throw-in. And then he challenges Virgil at the near post for the header. Then it falls to Murillo, who was 3 Liverpool players around him, and still manages to turn and get a shot away without getting blocked. The whole thing, Chris, the whole passage just was Keystone Cop stuff.
It was, and it's reflective of everything this season. I think when you give a needless corner away, I know it's sort of the negative fan of me, but for me, whenever we give a needless corner away, I'm like, well, we're conceding from this. Like, it happens all the time, or at least it seems like it. And yeah, I know, I personally don't know. I actually haven't watched the game back, on the telly. I don't
blame you, mate. I deleted Match of the Day. I have it on Series Link, and I didn't watch it last night.
I didn't watch it back, but it looked like he actually could have, if he maybe turned on a few of the turbocharger, could have actually got back and maybe kicked it out for a throw, and even after he controlled it. It just, yeah, the whole thing screamed effort was poor. And as I said, I hate accusing that, because there's no way to prove it. But it just didn't feel like there was 100% being given at any point yesterday.
Another thing, Connor, that I wanted to discuss around the whole situation with Konate and the way that we played yesterday, and it just seems unsalvageable for me at the minute, mate, because Arne had 2 weeks to prepare for Sean Dyche, 2 weeks to come up with a game plan against Sean Dyche, who is probably one of the easiest people to guess how he's going to set his team up to play. Him and perhaps Nuno, who we're coming up against next. You know what's going to happen there. They're going to sit deep. They're going to make it congested. They're going to defend with their lives. They're going to play for set pieces. And with 2 weeks to prepare for United, we lost. With 2 weeks to prepare here, we lost. That is another factor for me, Conor, and why I think Arne just doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah, like you said, when you're getting to a point where you're playing very predictable teams and still looking like you have no idea what to do against them after having 2 weeks to prepare, like it is just it's a damning picture being painted, really, isn't it? Like, again, there's no even more, like we keep going over the same points, really, but like he doesn't have a clue, does he? And that's what's getting it for me. Like, I do want him to succeed ultimately, but I just don't see a way back at this point. Like, just the mistakes he's making and the complete lack of, I don't know, innovation, any kind of word you want to put in. Like, he just doesn't seem to know how to actually get the best out of his team, and that is just incredibly worrying. And I just don't see a way back at all for him.
Chris, Dominic Szoboszlai at right back again yesterday. Look, we've seen it done before, and it's done well. But what I would say here, mate, is there's no Wirtz in the team straight away, so you know it's going to be either Jones or Szoboszlai in that position. Szoboszlai, you mentioned Gravenberch was probably our best player for the first 5-6 games. After that, I think it's probably gone to Dom to be the best player. And then we go and stick him at right back again in a game against the team 19th place in the league. It's like we're being too respectful to the opposition without trying to enforce our will or fear on them.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what your stream was saying, but I sort of even considered like thinking, where's Calvin Ramsey?
Oh, definitely, mate. That came up
I
in
would have started
conversation
him
quite a bit.
definitely.
Like genuinely, you're playing Nottingham Forest. The one thing that annoyed me yesterday, and you mentioned it, Craig, you can read what Sean Dyche is going to do. You don't have to be, a medium. You don't have to get the Ouija board out to work out, what Sean Dyche is going to do. We have Kirkes who is coming inside. We have Szoboszlai who's coming inside. We have Gakpo who's coming inside. We have Salah who's coming inside. That's just going to make things even more congested, isn't it? I found with Szoboszlai, and I think Jones maybe played there a little bit at the start of the match. I'm not too sure, but
At right back.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was a period where he drifted into the right back position.
Yeah, it just felt one dimensional. I think he had probably one of his worst games in the Liverpool shirt yesterday. But you lose a lot with Szoboszlai at right back. I understand that he's performed well there, but you lose a lot going forward, especially with Florian Wirtz unavailable. That's what shocked me the most because, yes, maybe, Nottingham Forest having banks of four, but he's probably the one player, him and McAllister are the players who, if we have to resort to shooting from distance, that's who we want it to fall to, right? If you got Szoboszlai playing at right back, he probably doesn't get in that position. I think he had a shot yesterday, but there was no. It just felt like so many bodies in one area, and he couldn't have an impact on the game because of it.
A couple of things to finish up on the game, Conor, that wound me up was Joe Gomez was on the bench, but Arne said he wasn't fit. And on top of that, we again seen garbage time minutes given for the likes of Chiesa and Rio Ngamoa when the game was past us, and Arne just wants to empty the bench of any attacking talent. I'm concerned about the impact that that's going to have on Rio's development. And the Joe Gomez thing baffles me. If he's not fit, why is he on the bench taking up a spot?
I suppose, who do you have on the bench instead of him, I suppose? But then, or even the people arguing Joe Gomez should be starting at right back. Like, I was adamant he shouldn't have been because he's already injury prone enough. Like, he hasn't even been playing and he hasn't been training this week because he's been injured again. Like, I don't quite get how people can want all three of our fit centre backs on the pitch at once. But again, it goes back to just no options off the bench that Arne actually trusts. Like, Ngamoha has been good when he's played. Chiesa has been fantastic when he played, and he still doesn't get a chance. And he gets 15, 20 minutes probably yesterday in a dead game, just so Arne can have this stat that I have been playing him. He came on this and he came on for X amount of minutes. It is just getting ridiculous at this point, and it's not fair. And like you said, that could negatively impact Rio and Gamoha's progress. If he's getting minutes in these I suppose it's not even a stressful environment anymore because the game is already lost, but he needs to be getting minutes when we're dominating games where he can come on and actually do something, not just get thrown on for the last few minutes of a game that's been dead and buried and then take the brunt of whatever's going on the pitch already. That's not fair on him, and it's probably bad man management in all honesty.
So, Chris, we talk about small squad and the manager wanting a small squad. For me, then he intentionally makes his own squad smaller by giving the cold shoulder to 3 or 4 people in it. And then we said yesterday, Gomez on the bench when he wasn't fit to play. That's just a numbers thing then. I mean, it all just stinks, mate, to me. And this cold shoulders to Chiesa, telling us Ngamoa is an option when we know he isn't an option, nor should he be an option because he's 17. He should be brought through at a pace that works best for him and brings confidence into him, not to come on to be a hero. And yes, he was against Newcastle. That was a level game, so that was a little bit different. This was a game that we were behind in. And I just think all of it added up. Like I said, all these little things, it just doesn't paint a very flattering picture of Arne.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, everything is a little thing until it becomes a big thing, isn't it? And when they're all put together, it's painful. It's painful listening. It's painful talking about it. The thing that winds me up with Chiesa is, and I said about the effort yesterday, I think when he came on, even though we were 2-3-0 down, whatever, he was running around. And sometimes that's all you need to see as a fan. Like, for me, I am baffled, and all the fans I talk to are baffled by the lack of usage of Federico Chiesa. It is been a constant issue all season when he's won you points and scored you big goals. To continually ignore a player like that, what sort of message does that send? And I honestly, right, if someone's scoring me goals and creating me goals, why would I not play them? It baffles me. It honestly, like, I don't understand the logic unless, he's got a vendetta against him, because there must be. That must be it, maybe because he's a player he didn't want last year, that he just got out of nothing. But that's the thing. If a player's helping me out as a manager or as a coach, I'd want to play them. It
kind of build on for what you said. It astounds me even more than if he is a player who the manager didn't want. Why wasn't he gone in the summer? So that's something that to have him still in the squad and still not use him after you had a chance to move him on. The whole thing just feels insane. And it is one thing that, you're right, Chris, every Liverpool fan I speak to can't figure out what's going on with Chiesa.
Even when we were winning, by the way, we were all saying it, weren't we? Like, and I don't want to say like Chiesa's being used as this sort of like symbol of a martyr, of saying, oh, this poor guy. We were all saying it when we were top of the league with 5 wins out of 5. Like, it's baffling. It's totally baffling. I've got no words for it.
Conor, Chris said at the start, and I'm kind of going to zero back around to this, that it could be that, there's nobody available. Do you think that is one of the reasons that Arne's in a job? And to build on from that, I want to know, if he was fired, who would you look for caretaker-wise if you wanted a caretaker? And if it was longer term, who would you be looking for to bring in for Arne? So 3 questions there. Is it the fact that there probably is no immediate answer to go, yes, get this guy, he can come in next week, and then caretaker or permanent option?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because like all the reports have been saying, like, we basically, in the recent weeks, we haven't been sounding out any other managers. Even like I was reported by a few people that like we haven't been looking at all. So it does seem like the club just does have ultimate faith in Arne Slot that he will turn it around and that he will get at least a season. Because like it doesn't seem like we are contacting any agents or any managers just to see if there will be potential interest from the likes of, I don't know, Areola, Glasner, whoever else you want to put in there. But like surely at this point we have to be looking around. Like, surely they have to see, like, one, like you said as well, the fan base turning on the manager is a huge thing, and that's only going to get worse based on like how the last few weeks have gone. So
it's going to bring toxicity just across the board, because you're going to have fans arguing with each other as well and everywhere. And
exactly.
It's just not great.
That was something I was going to bring up on the podcast at some point. Just like, we can't let this be a thing. Like, I hope there's either a decision made soon where he's gone, or else we turn it around very quickly, because I can't be arsed with the next year or two of like half the fan base wanting him gone, half fan base wanting him in. Like, we can't turn into that split fan base. Like, we just can't really afford that as a club. But to go back to your questions anyway, caretaker, manager, there's only one man, isn't there? Steven Gerrard has to come back to be caretaker, doesn't he? But then again, like, would you end up in a fucking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer kind of situation there where like he does well for 4 games and then you're like, could he do a job? And then we end up hating him then a year later.
It has to be caveated with, you are getting until we find a manager. I don't care if you win a treble for the rest of the year, you're not getting a job.
That will be my caveat as well. Like, I don't want a situation where we end up hating Steven Gerrard and calling for his head. Like, we just can't have that. But I think, like, if you are looking at the next, let's say if he's sacked today, I think we could do worse than having him there for the next 5-6 weeks as we look for someone else. Long term, then, like we said before as well, it's not really our job to pick that. But if you had to pick one, I would say maybe Xabi Alonso. If Real Madrid get rid of him, probably won't happen, but that would be my ideal replacement. More realistic, probably someone like Iriola from Bournemouth, or maybe even Glasner from Crystal Palace. But I don't know. I wouldn't be the person to ask. I'd rather the club not ask me, and they actually do know who they want themselves. But yeah, if I had to pick, I'd go Alonso would be best choice, and then probably Iriola, and then someone like Glasner or maybe Nagelsmann or someone like that if you get him.
The club can ask me. I'm available. I'm not to manage, I mean, for an opinion. I'm definitely not available to manage them. God almighty, I don't want to be the man who relegates Liverpool. So, Chris, before I come to you, I'm going to throw out some things that I've been thinking about. The Steven Gerrard thing, I think Connor covered. I'd like to expand on that a little bit. I don't know if Dirk Kuyt's still free, because I know he was considered as some of the backroom staff when he left the job. You could bring him in, Gary McAllister, Steven Gerrard, maybe add Robbie Fowler to that little coaching staff for the time being to kind of,
you're pulling on my heartstrings.
remind people of what it means to wear the damn jersey, you know? People that will walk into that dressing room and immediately command respect because they've been there and they've done it. On top of that, for the permanent options, Connor mentioned the likes of Glasner and Iriola. I think we're back into that whole Brendan Rodgers kind of, we're still rolling the dice, because for me, they're underdog managers in that they have a very specific way of playing. In Glasner, I would say, you know, he did win the Europa League, to be fair to him, so he has got that on his CV. But I still think that's a big step up to try and take those two to the next level. And it isn't a guarantee. Whereas if you could look at an Inzaghi, let's say, if you could get him at a Saudi, Nagelsmann after the World Cup, you know, if Kloppo eased into the German job or something like that, they're the type of people that I'd be thinking, dare I say, Tuchel. You know, when England don't win the World Cup, dare I say Thomas Tuchel, you know, because Ireland are winning now. Troy Parrott's gone and sorting it all out. It's done, Chris. And we'll welcome you on board for the celebration party. Don't worry. Croke Park, we'll be all there. We'll be with
Do
Troy
we not
Parrott.
get Do we not get
Huh?
Hallgrimsson in then? We'll get Hallgrimsson in after we won the World Cup, sure.
There you go. Job done.
Sorted.
So there's some of my thoughts, Chris, and I just wanted to, you know, throw it over to you to see what you think on the fact that is it that there's no one available, like you mentioned, and then the caretaker and the permanent option.
Yeah, so that would be my main reason, and I still think he's won the Premier League. Like, I still think that credit is there, and I think that is why the club are showing faith in him. And you could argue rightfully so, but the performance yesterday, I mean, that's just thrown everything out the window for me. To be honest, I think he is now at square one for me. So that's where I'm at with that. So
can I just throw in a point there? Actually, that like Leicester City sacked Ranieri a few months after win the title. If they can do it, we certainly can. You know what I mean?
True. You're not wrong.
Can I throw in an extra point?
Go on.
This manager won the league with a team with an identity that, yes, he put his own little stamp on, and then he takes the same identity, rips it, throws it in the bin when we bring in a load of players this year, and now we're without an identity.
True. The thing is, and that's what I was going to say, as you mentioned, with the former players coming in as caretakers, and that the one thing you'd be able to guarantee is effort and winning duels, or at least competing for duels. Like that for me is where we've completely gone this season. I think we might be bottom of the league for winning duels this year.
Which is unthinkable, Chris, when you think about what we've seen over the last 8, 9, 10 years. Like,
it's incredible and just baffling. So that's what you would guarantee with those managers. Personally, I don't think we would go for a big name manager or one of these established managers. I just don't think we've ever done that. Like, even Klopp really wasn't like the guy. Like, he wasn't someone who'd gone and won, 3 Champions Leagues. Yes, he did well with Dortmund in the Bundesliga, but that was with fighting against the authority of Bayern Munich. Like, we even with Jurgen, that was it. So I see no reason why we wouldn't go for someone like Iriola. The name I want to throw in is Fabregas.
I was thinking of him as well, to be honest.
Honestly, like, why not? And also, I saw on Twitter earlier, just Thiago Alcantara, just let him manage the football club. In all seriousness, the only manager out there who I would think that maybe could get the best out of these players is Carlo Ancelotti, and he's currently managing Brazil for a World Cup. So, to be honest, I genuinely don't think we would go for a manager like that. So I think we would go for someone like Iraola, and I think he'd do well. But I think someone like Glasner, 3 at the back, Alonso the same. I don't think we have the personnel to play their systems, so they would have to change for us.
So I don't really know much about Fabregas's style of play, but what I would say is to tempt somebody away from Lake Como, just as a place, it would want to be some offer, wouldn't it? To be fair, that is absolutely one of the most beautiful spots in Europe. Like,
who manages in a kip? That's what we can get. Who's managing a really shit team?
Oh, mate, Liverpool's stunning in the docks. Beautiful place.
Liverpool's gorgeous. Yeah,
get a beautiful little flat in the docks. Just don't go down to like Toxteth.
Don't start name places. God Almighty.
Yeah, stop right there.
No, I love the city. It's unbelievable. But Como might just have an edge.
Just a smidge, yeah. Just might just about get you there. So we finish up, gents. To finish up, give us a bit of a prediction for the PSV Eindhoven game, because I don't care how bad we are. If we can't go out and wipe the floor with PSV Eindhoven, they should just resign after the game. Like that, we have to beat these by a few. Connor, give us a score prediction.
We are at home, aren't we?
We are, yes.
Yeah. My prediction is the game gets called off due to wind, and we all get a break from watching this football.
Does us being at home somehow in your head make this a better thing now? Because we were home yesterday.
Well, it's just prediction. Oh God. Can't even think about games anymore. I'm sick of watching us losing, all honesty. Surely we have to win this one. I'll say 3-1. I'll be positive. I'll say we'll win this one 3-1.
Chris, I went and looked through PSV's team yesterday, and it literally is I've never heard of them, most of them. Like, so I'm gonna say we have to win. So give me a score prediction.
I'm gonna go 2-1. I think we'll win, and it's gonna be we're gonna go 1-0 down. And I'm reverting back to we're going 1-0 down every game now, because that's just all the way it will be. And I think Gakpo will get a brace against his former club.
Is it weird, lads, that I think if we won 2-1, there'd be more calls for him to be fired?
Well, I hope we should be winning this 4-5-0.
Here's a question for you, boys. Here's a question, and it's just popped into my head. So, say we are in 8th place in the Premier League come April.
Lofty ambitions there, Chris. What's on?
Yeah. Whoa. So we're in 8th, right? But we're in the Champions League semi-final, and he's still in a job. What would you do? Stick or twist?
If you win the Champions League, or you're looking like you're going to win the Champions League, all is fucking forgiven. Without any hesitation for me. I'll be chief hypocrite if he wins the Champions League. No problem.
But then do we do a full Spurs, though? Do we sack Ange after winning the major trophy? Like, would that still happen? Like, if we still thought Arne wasn't the man, like if we thought, right, we're going to win the Champions League somehow, but we're still absolutely shocking and going to finish in 10th next season, like, do you make a decision then? But yeah, like, fair enough. If you win the Champions League, fair enough. Like,
after each other and getting fired. Win the Prem, then go win the Champions League, then get fired.
True.
That'd be unbelievable. Weirdly, that's the only thing that's keeping me going. So we're going to win it all. See you in Budapest, fellas.
There you go. I mean, look, we own Budapest, mate. Been there, taken it over, done it, beat them. Hungary, bye-bye. No World Cup for you. Sorry, Dom. Also sorry for Kevin Doyle, but there you go. So look, that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. All hope is lost for the minute, but PSV Eindhoven coming up on Wednesday. So do let us know.
We can't forget though, they have Goose Till up front. He has to be watched. We do have to look out for Goose Till.
Yeah, he'll be the guy scoring from the first corner. Yeah. So that's at least there's no Luke de Jong, thank God.
Ivan Perisic is on that team as well, I know. So.
Oh yeah, he always played well against us, actually, didn't he, Perisic?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, lads. A draw? Did we get a draw?
4-2 PSV, my new prediction.
So yeah, that's where we're at. There's not much optimism around at the minute, folks, but we appreciate your time as always. Do let us know your thoughts, and we'll be back soon. Take care.